Welcome to the 176th episode of the Bullvine Podcast, bringing you the latest insights and innovations in the dairy industry. Today, we're joined by our regular experts, Bella and Douglas, to discuss a topic that's crucial for every dairy farmer: optimizing postpartum cow health through nutrition and management. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's dive into the world of dairy farming.
Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, your go-to source for all things dairy farming. I'm Bella, and today we're diving into a topic that's crucial for every dairy farmer out there: optimizing postpartum cow health through nutrition and management.
That's right, Bella. I'm Douglas, and we've got a packed episode today. We'll be covering everything from the importance of the transition period to cutting-edge strategies for boosting milk production and preventing those costly metabolic disorders.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us, Douglas. Let's start with why the postpartum period is so critical. Can you break it down for our listeners?
Absolutely, Bella. Think of the transition period as the Super Bowl for our cows. It's when everything they've been preparing for is put to the test. According to a study by Drackley and colleagues back in 2005, a whopping 75% of health issues in cows show up within the first month after calving.
Wow, that's a significant number. So, what can farmers do to ensure their cows make it through this critical period?
Well, it all starts with nutrition. Let's talk about carbohydrates first. Just like a tractor needs the right fuel mix, cows need a precise balance of carbohydrates to keep milk production humming along.
I'm guessing it's not as simple as just loading them up with corn, right?
You've got that right, Bella. We're aiming for a sweet spot of 28 to 32% neutral detergent fiber, or NDF, and 22 to 25% starch in their diet. This comes from a 2013 study by Allen and Piantoni.
Those are some specific numbers, Douglas. How do farmers achieve that balance?
It's all about finding the right mix between roughage, like hay, and energy-dense feeds like corn. Too much starch is like flooring the gas pedal. You'll see a quick spike in milk output, but you're risking acidosis. On the flip side, too little starch is like running on fumes. Production drops, and you're opening the door to ketosis.
That makes sense. Are there any regional considerations farmers should keep in mind?
Absolutely. If you're in the Midwest, where top-quality alfalfa is abundant, you might want to dial back the NDF a bit. But if you're down south, where grass hay is more common, you might need to bump it up.
Great tip, Douglas. Now let's move on to protein. How does that fit into the postpartum nutrition puzzle?
Protein is the framework of milk production, Bella. Think of it as the wood and nails for building milk proteins. The key is balancing rumen-degradable protein, or RDP, with rumen-undegradable protein, or RUP.
That sounds complex. Are there any specific amino acids farmers should focus on?
Lysine and methionine are the heavy hitters here. A study by Van Amberg and others in 2021 found that fine-tuning amino acid profiles can boost milk protein output by 5%.
5% might not sound like much, but I bet it adds up quickly.
You're spot on, Bella. For a 100-cow herd, we're talking an extra 50 pounds of milk protein daily. At current market rates, that's an additional $30 to $40 in your pocket every day.
Now that's something our listeners will appreciate. Let's switch gears and talk about minerals. Why are they so important in postpartum nutrition?
Minerals are the unsung heroes of cow health, Bella. They're like the oil in your tractor. You don't see them working, but you'll sure notice when they're missing. Calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium are the big three we need to focus on.
And how do these minerals impact cow health?
Well, effective mineral management can significantly reduce instances of milk fever. A study by Lysine and colleagues in 2006 showed some impressive results. In fact, I know of a Wisconsin farm with 500 cows that introduced a negative DCAD program, that's dietary cation-anion difference, and they saw their milk fever rates plummet from 15% to just 3%.
That's a dramatic improvement. So what's the takeaway for our listeners when it comes to mineral management?
The key is to explore low-calcium diets or incorporate anionic salts before calving. It's also crucial to ensure cows get enough vitamin D and to monitor urine pH to keep the system running smoothly.
Great advice, Douglas. Now let's talk about feed efficiency. How can farmers make every bite count?
Feed efficiency is all about maximizing every morsel, Bella. Farmers should be assessing milk yield against each pound of dry matter their cows consume. They should also keep an eye on milk urea nitrogen, or MUN, to ensure protein isn't being wasted.
Are there any technologies that can help with this?
Absolutely. Advanced monitoring systems are game changers. They allow us to track each cow's performance individually. I know of a farm with 1,000 cows that saw a 7% boost in feed efficiency and gained an additional 4 pounds of milk per cow daily after adopting precision feeding technology.
That's impressive. Do you have any practical tips for our listeners, whether they're running small family farms or large operations?
For smaller dairies with 50 to 200 cows, focus on individual cow care. Join purchasing groups to get better deals on supplements and explore compact versions of monitoring technology. For larger operations with over 500 cows, invest in automated monitoring technologies, adopt group-based strategies for uniform management, and consider hiring on-farm nutritionists for frequent diet adjustments.
Those are great tips, Douglas. Now let's talk about some emerging technologies in dairy nutrition. I've heard a lot about artificial intelligence in dairy farming. What can you tell us about that?
AI is really transforming the dairy industry, Bella. It's not just about robots milking cows anymore. We're seeing AI being used to analyze vast amounts of data to make precise nutritional decisions for each cow.
That sounds fascinating. How does it work in practice?
Well, imagine a system that can predict a cow's nutritional needs 24 hours in advance. There's a pilot project in the Netherlands doing just that. They're using AI to forecast each cow's nutrient requirements, allowing for highly personalized feeding. Early results show a 5% boost in feed efficiency without any drop in production.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI could really revolutionize how we approach dairy nutrition.
Absolutely. And it's not just about production. AI can also help with early disease detection. By analyzing data from various sources, milk production levels, animal behavior, even environmental factors, AI systems can spot early signs of health issues, allowing for timely interventions.
This all sounds very high-tech. Is it accessible for smaller farms too?
That's a great question, Bella. While some of these technologies might seem out of reach for smaller operations, there are scalable solutions available. For example, there are AI-powered apps that can help farmers monitor their herd's health and nutrition without breaking the bank.
That's good to know. Now, let's talk about the environmental aspect of dairy nutrition. How can farmers balance productivity with sustainability?
That's a crucial point, Bella. The good news is that economic and environmental benefits often go hand in hand in dairy farming. For instance, research from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada has shown that by reducing the protein content in cow rations, we can significantly cut nitrogen emissions without affecting productivity.
Can you give us some numbers on that?
Sure thing. They found that reducing the proportion of protein in dairy cow rations from an average of 18.1% to a realistic 16.5% could enable Canada to cut its nitrogen emissions by 17,000 tons a year and save $77.5 million annually.
Those are some impressive figures. It really shows how small changes can have a big impact.
Exactly. And it's not just about emissions. Better nutrition management can also lead to improved feed efficiency, which means less waste and a smaller environmental footprint overall.
This has been incredibly informative, Douglas. As we wrap up, what's the bottom line for our listeners? Is all this effort and investment worth it?
Absolutely, Bella. The initial investment in better nutrition and management practices might seem steep, but the benefits far outweigh the costs. We're talking about healthier cows, increased milk production, reduced veterinary bills, and a more sustainable operation overall.
Can you give us some final numbers to drive that point home?
Sure thing. For a typical 500-cow dairy operation, implementing these strategies could lead to a net gain of around $200,000 annually. That's about $400 per cow per year in additional profits.
Those are numbers that really speak for themselves. Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into postpartum nutrition for dairy cows. Remember, whether you're managing 50 cows or 5,000, There are strategies you can implement right now to boost your herd's health and your farm's profitability.
That's right, Bella. And don't forget to team up with your nutritionist and vet to customize these practices for your unique situation. The dairy industry is always evolving, so don't be afraid to explore new methods and technologies.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. Until next time, here's to healthy cows and full milk tanks.
And that wraps up the 176th episode of the Bullvine Podcast. We'd like to thank our experts, Bella and Douglas, for their invaluable insights, and you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Join us next time as we continue to explore the cutting edge of dairy farming. Until then, keep those udders healthy and those milk tanks full.